All right, well thanks. This is a great little gathering, and appreciate just being a part of it, having a small piece to share just a few thoughts. Mark, I appreciate your perspectives, and I agree with a lot of what you said. I love the ecosystem that's been developing here over the last 10 years. I moved back to Champaign, Urbana from San Diego, California in 1999. For a while, it took me at least a few years to figure out why I had moved back, because we don't have oceans and mountains and those sorts of things here in Champaign, Urbana. But nevertheless, what has happened out in the research park and with the university ramping up its OTM efforts and corporate relations efforts and funding efforts, we do have something special going on, and I don't think we've really seen anything yet. So I'm excited about where the next 7 to 10 years are going. As John said, I wear a few different hats. I'll share just a few thoughts. One of the things that we're putting together that's very exciting is a new seed stage fund. In a community like Champaign, Urbana, or a community that's in the Midwest, you can't have enough capital. There's always a shortage of capital, it seems. So even though we've gotten good success and traction with Illinois Ventures, and we've brought some of the VCs from the coasts or Chicago down to our area, we have Open Prairie Ventures, you can never have enough capital. So Dennis Beard and I have been putting together the Sarah Capital Fund, and I'm pleased to say that we're actually going to get to our initial first closing here in a couple of weeks. We've got enough financial commitment to go ahead and do a first close. And I think you're actually going to hear from the CEO of one of our companies that we've made a commitment to fund. And Sebo, I don't know what the new name of the company is. It's gone from Athena to Yataclick to Cateva. And that's one of the companies that we're making a funding, or have made a funding commitment to. So I do hope we get the first close done so that we can write you the check. Another company that's actually a low-tech company. Mark, you talked about low-tech opportunities. We had a couple of Illinois grads, one an engineering grad and one a finance and accounting grad, come to us about 4 weeks ago with a very simple concept, an accessory for the iPad. Their business model is basically to penetrate 0.1% of the iPad user base, which is a pretty modest goal, but when you consider that 3.7 million iPads were sold in 1 quarter, this could be sort of an interesting model. So this is essentially a low-tech product, but the company is going to launch in a very high-tech way. They're going to outsource basically every function that they don't consider a core competency. They have 2 or 3 things that they think that they can do well, sort of design and engineering, and pretty much everything else is going to be outsourced with the help of Amazon fulfillment and a marketing consultant and a manufacturing group out in San Francisco. So this will be an interesting experiment to see how something like this can fly. But that's a company that we've made a commitment to fund in Sarah Capital. So if you do have an idea, I'm always happy to go to lunch and shoot the breeze on what your idea is. If it's a fundable idea, we can certainly consider your business plan and give it the old once-over. If it's not really fundable in the venture capital sense, I'm still happy to share any ideas I have with you about what you might do to tweak your business model and make it better. John, you mentioned the Urbana-Champaign Angel Network. We've been fortunate to pull together a group of angels. Angels are basically just accredited investors, those that meet the IRS criteria for having a certain amount of net worth or a certain amount of income. We did an initial meeting in May, and one of the guys you're going to hear from tonight, Will of Merge FMan, did a great job with his team. Adam and the guys presented their model, and we're going to have 5 or 6 companies present on Monday to a group of about 35 or 40 of us that are part of the Angel Network. And the idea here again is to connect sources of capital with emerging opportunities. This is just another alternative to venture capital, basically financial angels. So that's an effort that's just now sort of getting formalized, and our second meeting again will be Monday, September 20, and again 5 or 6 of the emerging ventures here in town will be represented there. So that's exciting. Just a couple of other thoughts. Mark, I love what you said about failure. I think I've learned a heck of a lot more from the failure over the last 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years than I ever did out of 40 some odd years of success. It took me about 37 or 8 years to get to my first major failure. I was part of a big accounting firm. I was a partner there, both here in Illinois, and then I moved out to the West Coast and led the group in San Diego. And as Mark said, you sort of get this sense of all these resources that are at your disposal and all these people sort of falling over you to do projects and so forth. And then I got the grand idea to go out on my own and start my own consulting firm, and just fell promptly on my face for about 18 months. There was nothing I could do right over 18 months. That all of that, 37 years of success and sort of this upward trajectory that I thought had just kind of prepared me to do the consulting gig, and I couldn't do anything right. So about $150,000 later, as in a decreased bank account that went down by that much, and really sort of kind of ready to throw in the towel, I was fortunate enough to have one of my clients hire me, Hoerr. It's a company here in town that was doing mosaic browser work, founded by Eric Sink, who worked for Spyglass, and Tom Lewicki. He was one of your buddies back in the day. So Eric gave me another lease on life and kind of picked me up off the pavement. And so I did a couple years with Hoerr, and then had the great opportunity to link up with Gary Durack to do the eyesight enterprise. And Gary and I learned a lot along the way, a lot more, again, through the failures than we ever did sort of the successes. So I think that's one of the key attributes of successful entrepreneurs, is that they can not only get comfortable with failure, but actually embrace it, sort of in a way. I mean, Gary and I actually kind of talked about that there were moments where we really needed to kind of embrace the failure we were experiencing at eyesight. I know that sounds strange. It's not a very fun thing to do, but what I mean by that is you grab onto it, and you look at it, and you ask, why are we going through this? What are we contributing to the failure? What are others contributing to the failure? What's just sort of out of our control? But you kind of embrace the moment, and hopefully you gut it out and you move through that, and on the other side of it, I think is success, whether it's in that venture or in a later one. So that's a key lesson that I would endorse. So I guess that's about it in terms of some of the thoughts that I have. Very, very excited to be part of this ecosystem and this community, playing the role that I can play. And invite you to give me a shout, send me an email, come by the office anytime, and have a chat.
Thank you, Tim. Well, the one thing that's